Look at the objects around you right now. Your phone, your shoes, the cables behind your monitor. Check the label on almost any of them, and you will likely find the same 3 words, made in China. It is worth asking why the entire world's supply chain flowed into this one specific country rather than other massive developing nations with huge populations like India or Brazil. To figure that out, we have to look back to 1980. At that time, China was a deeply poor agrarian society where most people lived in rural villages, earned less than $1 a day, and had almost zero connection to global trade. Yet, in just 4 decades, that isolated economy grew to produce 1/3 of all manufactured goods on the planet. This growth was the product of a calculated 5-step strategic blueprint executed with decade-long consistency. The first step began in 1978. Leader named Deng Xiaoping took power and introduced a policy called reform and opening up, which effectively ended total state control over the economy. He started by implementing the household responsibility system, by allowing farmers to grow what the government needed and then sell any extra crops for their own profit. He injected a massive dose of personal economic incentive into the workforce for the first time. With domestic output rising, Deng drew a line around a small southern fishing village called Shenzhen and designated it a special economic zone. Inside that zone, different rules applied. Foreign companies were offered low taxes, relaxed regulations, and the freedom to experiment with market economics in ways that were strictly forbidden in the rest of the country. The result was immediate. A town of 30,000 people in 1980 swelled into a sprawling global tech hub with a population of over 13 million today. The special economic zone proved that combining foreign capital with inexpensive Chinese labor generates enormous, highly scalable profit margins. But the real engine driving those margins was the sheer volume of available workers. Hundreds of millions of young people were migrating from rural villages into cities looking for opportunity. This chart illustrates a concept called the Lewis turning point. Because China had an almost unlimited supply of migrating labor, factories could scale their production exponentially without having to increase wages. If someone left, there was always another person ready to take the job. You can see X how translates to the bottom line. Manufacturing a product in the US might cost $15. Making that exact same product in China could cost as little as $2, yet as cheap labor alone is useless if you cannot deliver the goods. Major global brands require perfectly reliable logistics to function. To solve this, the state invested trillions of dollars into physical logistics, laying down sprawling highways, highly reliable power grids, and networks of high-speed rail. China invested in its logistical future before that future arrived, treating high-speed connectivity as the prerequisite for trade rather than the reward for it. With the logistics in place, a compounding effect took over: industrial clustering. This is the deliberate geographic grouping of factories, part suppliers, and skilled workers all concentrated in one tight area. This node map shows how that physical proximity creates unmatched speed. Because every component is a short drive away, a company can design a product on Monday and have shipped prototype ready by Friday. Once that ecosystem matured, global supply chains stopped simply using China as an option. They became structurally dependent on its efficiency. In 2001, China's entry into the World Trade Organization dropped trade barriers across 140 countries, granting these clusters immediate access to the entire global consumer base. Over the next decade, the country's GDP grew at an average of over 10. No other country currently possesses is that exact combination of interconnected clusters and infrastructure, making the shift a massive engineering problem that will take a generation to solve. The mechanics behind this national expansion, prioritizing foundational infrastructure before profit and positioning yourself within a cluster of high-demand resources, apply to individual careers and businesses as well. Right now, the friction of global supply chains migrating away from established hubs is creating a massive opening. New logistics platforms and sourcing tools are emerging to support this transition. Understanding the mechanics of global trade gives you the ability to spot these systemic shifts while they are still happening. If you found this breakdown helpful, drop a like and let me know in the comments. Which country do you think will become the world's next major manufacturing hub?